Greetings, fellow moviegoers, and welcome to Movie Central, the place to talk about movies, TV shows based on movies, toys based on movies, games based on movies, and rides based on movies. I'm your host, Mr. CCS, and this is my pet gorilla, George. Let's go back and remind ourselves of Cars. Released back in 2006, Cars was a financial success, making almost $500 million at the box office. Part of the reason for the success of it was also probably the marketing put into it, with toys selling like crazy. Gosh, and you thought Batman and Robin was made just to sell toys. That's not the point. The point is, the movie was a success, and it made sense to have a sequel. And it took them 5 years to develop one for the big screen, and needless to say, while it did well financially, the movie overall flopped critically, considered this day to be Pixar's worst film. But 11 years later, and God, that's a long time for me, is it still really that bad? I guess we're going to find out today. This is Cars 2. Race car Lightning McQueen, voiced again by Owen Wilson, and his tow truck buddy, Mater, still voiced by Larry the Cable Guy, have had their share of adventures, but nothing like what they experience when they head overseas for the first ever World Grand Prix. While Lightning has an eye on the road, the championship, Maynard takes a detour to an international espionage when he meets British master spy Finn McMissile, voiced by Sir Michael Caine, or Myco Caine, as I like saying, and a stunning spy in training, Holly Shiftwell, voiced by Emily Mortimer. Yeah, we went from underdog racing story to a spy movie in the matter of 5 years. What a world we live in. Actually, I'm gonna get killed for saying this. I kind of enjoy this film more than the first one. Shocking for me to say, yes, but I still think it has a better flow to it. Go ahead, point the guns at my throat all you want. I'm not changing my opinion. Not to say it's flawless, because I'll say it, the middle section does feel rather weak around the edges, but overall it's a popcorn flick, one meant to be enjoyed despite its premise. But does the rest of the movie fare against the original? Well, let's find out. I'm going to come out right and say that the relationship between Lightning McQueen and Mater isn't as good here as it is in the first, but I'm glad there is tension between the two after an embarrassing moment for Lightning. But their friendship in the original was so good, and much better than the one here, because at least in the first one, it's shown that Lightning kinda hates Mater, and then it leads to them becoming very close friends. And the moment in the third act in Cars where Mater says I didn't get to say goodbye to him really just shows, like how good friendships are. And we get something very similar in the second movie, but yeah. It really doesn't matter though. These characters are kind of put onto the side here just so they could focus on the new stuff, such as the new spy characters and the villains and the other racers. Which most of the characters there are for selling toys, but that really doesn't matter because these characters are actually alright. So I guess let's just talk about the animation. Well, it's a step up from the original film, which is not shocking at all because it was 5 years later after coming out, and it actually looks genuinely pretty good at some points, which is a nice touch always. With the shots of the cities of Tokyo, the fictional city of Porto Corsa, and London. The music was done by Michael Giacchino, sorry, and he gave the movie a very spy-esque feel as well as wonderfully replicating the sounds of a Japanese party, a town in Italy, and the Buckingham Palace March, among many others. So yeah, short review, but I still have a soft spot for Cars 2. I know y'all hate it, but if you have the time, take some of it and watch it again. You probably won't regret it, and you probably might. I'm not a psychic. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. The cars aren't the only ones racing around this one. Well, that's it for this review. Please feel free to leave your thoughts on the movie below, and tune in next week when I take a look at The first bad Pixar movie, Brave. With that said, my name is Mr. CCS. This is Movie Central, and that, my friends, is a wrap. See you next week.